and you're listening to the African Diary Show with Kaji. Massive. Stay tuned.
And it hang on me.
All the way in Switzerland, and you're tuning into the Black Hot Fire Radio, and you're listening to Massive. Greetings and salutations, Master and all the way in Switzerland, and you're tuning into the Black Hot Fire Radio, and you're listening to the African Diary Show with Kaji. That's it.
Baby, you should know that I'm your one. Like if you got me short, then I would rather rain. So I thought I could hit back quickly, they should know that you're mine. That you're mine, that you're mine. And I ain't never letting you go. Oh, baby, you should know that you're my life. Like if you got me short, then I'll be by your side. So I thought I could hit back quickly, they should know you're my wife. That you're mine, that you're mine.
And I can
never go. Baby,
you got me up in my mind.
And I don't wanna say, but I would've died if you left me inside. So let it be the same. Let it be doing this thing. You
Got me up in my mind. Where?
In everywhere. I take it just shit out where.
Nitakupenda wewe. Nitakupenda wewe.
In every single way. I take it just shit away. I take it just shit away. Nitakupenda wewe. Baby,
You should know that you make me blind.
in every single way.
You're my ride or die.
Natifike mwisho but utakuwa na wewe. And for better
And for worse,
I will always be yours. Baby, you should know that you make me shine. In many little ways you make me smile. Natifike mwisho but utakuwa na wewe. And for better and for worse I will always be yours. You baby, you
got me up in my mind.
And I don't wanna say, but I would've died if you left me aside. So let it be the same. you in this game. So baby,
You got me up in my mind.
Greetings and salutations, Master Giz and Zimbabweans, all the way in Switzerland. And you're tuning into the Black House Fire Radio, and you're listening to the African Diary Show with Cassie. Massive.
so let it be the same. Let it be me and you in this game. So baby, where
You got me up in my mind. In everywhere, where. I take you just where. Where. Nitakupenda wewe. Yes, so wagwan, my beautiful people, how are you doing? Karibuni sana to another episode of the African Diary Show. I hope you're well. I hope your day is coming on great and it is finding you at great health and peace as well. Happy Thursday to everyone who is there, to everyone who is just joining us, and to everybody who is listening to me via the radio station. Karibuni sana once again. Remember, this is the African Diary Show, and on the African Diary Show, we get to discuss things or rather matters that are happening in the beautiful continent of Africa. So karibuni sana. On today's episode, we shall be talking about why Africans need to unite, because we really need to unite. It is urgent. I mean, we have to unite, not even need, we have to unite as African people. So we shall be discussing about that, and also we shall get to South Africa. And I've seen they have ruled end of permits for Zimbabweans, and I'm like, are we never gonna see Africans like loving each other? And this is why I decided we have to talk about the need of uniting as African people. So on today's episode, we shall be discussing about, we shall be discussing why Africans need to unite, urgently needs to unite, because we really do need to unite. Whatever is happening in South Africa, remember we talked about the South Africans saying that they are xenophobic, they are like, it was xenophobia. Imagine facing xenophobia from your fellow brothers and sisters. They were telling them, you should not come and work here. You are exhausting, or rather you're exhausting the working opportunities for us. And that was very crazy coming from African people, but we shall get to watch about this. But you know what, I think what is happening in South Africa, or rather why we're seeing this, it's because we still have the Europeans in South Africa. We have so many Europeans in South Africa, and this is why African people in South Africa think that they can become xenophobic to their own brothers and sisters. But anyway, we started off our show with an amazing jam done by Ivia, and the jam is Nitakupenda. I hope you did get to jam and to eat, but we shall get back to one more jam. I'll be back with our quote of the day, with our African proverb of the day. So in case you're there also and you have a quote of the day, you have a proverb of the day, some wise words of the day you'd love to share with us, feel generous enough and kindly get to interact with me. Remember, we are always live and interactive on our media handles. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, everywhere at Blackout Fire Network. To all those who are listening to me via the radio station, karibuni sana as well. And remember, you can also get to interact with me via the live stream, the show page, and that is why you get to pin your chat, your comment, what you'd love to tell me on today's episode of the African Diary Show. Karibuni, we're going back to one more jam. We shall be back with our quote of the day. And in case you have a quote of the day, remember to share with us.
To the condition, anything I
Turn busy on the beat.
If I want to take a two, then I'll let you know that now. You guys love me, that's for sure, man, I know. Everywhere I go, they wanna sing my song. Man, a bad man, and they go fit it, do. You guys love me, that's for sure, man, I know. Everywhere I go, they wanna sing my song. Man, a bad man.
man, and they go free take it up. They go free take it up, all of them know that I'm the baddest gun. Every club and man, so we give them up. Even the big boy, bola with the illness come, so we give them good vibes, things till they drop. Oh, they wanna sing my song.
My quote of the day, or rather my African proverb of the day, says, after a foolish deed comes remorse. After a foolish deed comes remorse. And it says, feeling sorry always follows after a foolish act. And this is very true. So mind whatever you're doing, don't do foolish things, because we don't want you to regret whatever you did.
They go free take it up. They guys love me, that's for sure, man. I know. Everywhere I go, they wanna sing my song. Man, a bad man, and they go free take it up. They go free take it up. If you had this Chico, I'm a dogger. If I take this ignition, I'm a soldier. Nigga, pending like the mighty King Kong. Oh, Cinderella, mama. Say that Cinderella, mama. Oh, Cinderella, mama. Cinderella girl, they hold up, bam, bam, bam. She be my drop, where I be a King Kong. Much of good lonely, she be my ding dong. When I do the body, the flat, she put the boom, boom, boom. She do me. It's a run with it, I can find them people who she go in the diaper. When I got it, a real mean, you guys love me, that's what your man I know. Anywhere I go, they wanna sing my song. And a bad man, and they go free take it down. You guys love me, that's what your man I know. Everywhere I go, they wanna sing my song. Man, a bad man, and they go free take it down. They go free take it up. Oh my God, you they bother me. How do you bad, but tell your daddy me one pan of who do you can't me. Oh my God, you they bother me. How do you bad, but tell your daddy me one pan of who do you.
Yes, karibuni sana once again. I hope you're enjoying that jab right over there. And to all those who are joining us at Tafadhali, make sure I mark you present. But anyway, get to interact with me. Do let me know how are you doing today. But starting off our show for today, I said Africans need to unite. And our main focus of the day is going to South Africa. And this is because the South African court ruled against ending permits for Zimbabweans. And the reason we saw the South Africans going to court about they wanted to end permits for Zimbabweans, it's because of xenophobia. And we talked about this. Remember, it was last year, but one, when we say that now South Africans are chasing Zimbabweans and also other nationalists that don't belong to South Africa because they are xenophobic. They say that the other black people are coming there to exhaust their work. They are not leaving any work for them. They are not leaving any job opportunities for them. And when we look at the reason Tsepo left, I don't know why he left, but there was this time we had an argument between Tsepo and myself here, and I was like, he told us, remain in your own countries, develop your own countries. We developed our own. Who developed South Africa for the South Africans? It was not the South Africans. So they didn't build their country. So the moment they start telling us they are xenophobic, even to black people, to African people, it doesn't make sense for me, because it is Africa. This is Africa. This is our home. I should be feeling free to move wherever I want. And at the same time, we all need to develop our countries. But remember, the South Africans have no right to tell other Africans to move out of South Africa because they have to go back and develop their own countries. Because no African can come, or rather no South African can come and say, we built these roads, we built these houses, we built this country on our own. They never developed that country for themselves. Actually, the reason we still have racial segregation in South Africa, the reason they still practice apartheid in South Africa, because South Africa is partly controlled by the Europeans. Why is this? Because the Europeans were there to develop that country for them. They actually built those things for them. They might be using the black labor, but at the same time, it was not the black people who developed South Africa for themselves. But they have no right, and I keep on saying this, we as African people, we have no right to tell others, go back to your country, because this is our country, this is our continent, this is Africa. We are black people, we belong in Africa, and we should be able to move around Africa. And we've seen for example, the recipient of black people, rather, we've gone to Tanzania, and we've seen how these people receive us. Some are very excited to see us, but you'd find now people with colonized minds, of which I never encountered that in Tanzania. People with colonized minds who feel like you should not be coming to Tanzania because you are Kenyan. You should remain in Kenya because you are Kenyan. And this is just crazy. And this is the need of us, or rather, this is why we need to be united as Africans. This is why we as African people needs to stay united, needs to say no to the borders and behave like African people. At the end of the day, we're African people. This is Africa. This is our own Africa, where we belong, our homeland, our motherland. But I don't understand why I would be telling my fellow brother from Tanzania, go back to your home, go back to your country, because you don't belong to Kenya. It is just insane and crazy. But I hate the fact that they would even come and say we are xenophobic. We are xenophobic. You're not racist, but you're xenophobic. It just doesn't settle right with me. These people are not racist, but xenophobic. In South Africa, this is why we have a huge number of the Europeans, the people with the white color, but the black people in that country, knowing very well that South Africa is an African country, a country that belongs to only black people, are telling black people to vacate from their country and are not even afraid of the Europeans being there. They are not racist, but they are xenophobic to their own people. It doesn't even make sense for me. It doesn't even add up. When you even analyze this, it doesn't add up. But why are we not united as Africans? Because that is the biggest question. Why are we not united as Africans? What do we need to do to stay united as Africans? Because this is a war, or rather, this is a story or a conversation we can hold for hours and hours and hours. But I feel like the only thing we have left with is to come up with the solutions, because we've been talking about how Africans are not united. We've been saying that we need solutions to this problem. We need to stay united. But what are we not doing as African people to stay united? Because we really need to stay united. We need to abolish tribalism. We need to fight tribalism amongst ourselves. We need to start loving each other. We need to acknowledge ourselves as brothers and sisters. We need to stop the hatred amongst us. And what is causing this hatred amongst us? Why are we so not united as African people? And we know this is our motherland. We know that we have nowhere to go rather than being in Africa. Why do we still have African people fighting their own people? Because they bought the Europeans' culture, because they bought the Europeans' history, because they were told, you as the Kikuyu came from the Congo forest and you fought with the Maasais, and this is why Maasais have cattle and you don't. This is why Maasais have huge lands and you don't, because you fought with them. And they bought that history of which that never belonged to us. And this is why we are never united as African people. But I have this video. I hope it behaves on today's show, and we get to listen to it as we continue. And you let me know what you think about this, and let me know, why is Africa not united? In your own words, or rather, what do you think is leading to the now African people not being united.
Your Excellencies, you must forgive me if I'm a little emotional this morning. It was expressed by Bob Marley in that great song, Africa Unite, as we're moving right out of Babylon and we're moving into the fatherland, or should I say, the motherland. I say these things because if we are truly to unite and to bring prosperity to our people, a number of things matter. One, we must come together first and foremost to create the environment within which our governments and our people must be successful. And that means reframing the agreements that were made when we were not seen as sovereign nations, and when justifiably they could say that they did not know of our circumstances because we did not have the expression of nationhood when the Bretton Woods institutions were formed. Similarly, we can say to them now that almost 8 decades later, there is no excuse for not seeing us, hearing us, or feeling us. And there is no excuse for others being proxies for our voices in circumstances where we do not have a seat at the table. But I come from a small little nation who also produced a woman called Shirley Chisholm, who in her attempt to remain unbought and unbossed, not only was the first African descendant to become a female member of the Congress of the United States of America in 1968, but she dared to also run for the presidency of that country and to articulate a vision that is as relevant today, 50 years later, as it was when she went on that occasion. And she told us that if there is no seat at the table, bring your own chair. So you will better understand why we are not prepared to accept things as they are and work together to shape things as they must be. But when we finish, or as we keep doing that, it is a political will that first and foremost makes the difference to whether we are prepared to rise to the occasion and to overcome the challenges that hitherto have been placed before us. And I refer not now yet to the existential challenges, but to the challenges that were foisted upon us by colonialism and division, by language, by religion, by those who understood that as long as we could be divided, the dominance of those of a lesser number could preside. I say to us today that we know the power of unity.
True.
And it cannot simply be in the rhetoric. It needs to be in our actions and in our policies.
Mm-hmm.
There must
And what are these policies? I feel like Africans right now should be fighting for policies that allow, or rather are working towards abolishment of the borders, because we don't need the borders. We need to be free. We need to be able to wake up and go to Tanzania and back, go to Uganda and back, go to South Africa. But whatever is happening right now in South Africa, it is insanely crazy that South Africans says they are xenophobic to their own people. You know, it is just crazy.
be a blue ribbon commission established between the African Union and the Caribbean community to put to rest once and for all the issues of connectivity. Connectivity transport, but equally connectivity of telecommunications. We cannot be talking about innovation. We cannot be talking about prosperity and only prepared to look north rather than to look east or west. The only people who can be blamed for the absence of that connectivity now are no longer those who colonized us, but those who are in the seat today to make the difference.
Very true, very true. And these are the puppets, the people who are in these seats today. It is the puppets. The puppets, the people who call themselves African Union leaders. Those are the puppets. Those people in the African Union, because that is a group of puppets.
By securing that connectivity. And I therefore look forward to my brothers and sisters coming together. Isn't that while each of us may not have the capacity to do all that we would like to do, we have the ability to pool together to secure that advantage. The Africa Exim Bank, the Africa Development Bank, the Caribbean Development Bank, the CARICOM Development Fund have a duty to work with us all to ensure that whatever is necessary to make both the financial and economic case of connectivity is put in place. Because the next major step of cementing this relationship is not about leaders coming and mixing with other leaders, but it is about ordinary people moving in their own time and space to be able to make those friends, to make new family, and to make new business. When that happens, we will not even know the bounty that shall be created, because there is an organic nature in which the creativity and the abundance of our people shall allow for things to happen and to be created that we can't even contemplate today. But separate from that, there's the issue of functional cooperation. And the functional cooperation, as we are seeing, with the commitment of CARICOM to be able to participate through our central bank governors in the payment and settlement system, PAPS, recognizing that if we use that same system, we can minimize the extent to which trading in hard currency can limit the opportunities for our people. Even within the Caribbean region, even within the African Union. The functional cooperation, however, must go beyond that. And it must now also, as it did in the area of the African Medical Supplies Platform, continue where pooled procurement is critical, both to access difficult provisions or equipment, where our orders, as I said, are simply too small, and to guarantee better pricing that we cannot do as market takers and not as market shapers.
Okay, and what I understand from what she's saying right now, if we are able to make our own products, if we are able to produce our own food, our own everything, we shall be the one setting the tone of the market. We are not now the market takers, we're not the market shapers, we are setting the tone of our market. And also remember, we have every resources we require in Africa. So we as African people, we should be united to protect what we have. We should be united to protect what we have as African people, excuse me. And It is crazy to see African people fighting, not knowing what we are worth. We don't know what we are worth. We have so many people right here fighting, just assuming we don't have anything. We're just a poor continent. No! Africa is not a poor continent. Africa is rich, and this is why these people want us disunited. And I also have another video. I'll not share the whole of this video of Mia Amoro. I will not share the whole video of her, but I also have a different video of PLO Lumumba talking about how disunity for Africans is good for other civilizations. And it is very true, by the way. Now, if you look at now, like countries that are in war right now in Africa, this is the easiest way, or rather, this is the easiest place the Europeans are going to take advantage of. Can we talk about Congo? What is happening in Congo? People have been fighting for quite some long time, and what have been the Europeans been doing? Stealing resources from them. So I feel like the more we're disunited, the more they keep on taking advantage of us, and also the more we enable them to come and steal our resources, the more we enable them to come and start associating with their own people. Come and tell us we're offering you security, and they come and tell us we're going to give you this and this and this. You know, it is just crazy, and we need to be united as African people, and we need to know the disadvantages of being disunited in Africa, because there are no advantages of being disunited. There are disadvantages of being disunited, because we are losing, we are suffering, we are hating each other, we are like, our resources are being stolen every day just because we're not able to guard our own properties, our own resources. But before I continue, let me share this video of PLO Lumumba as we continue with our show for today, and see why he's talking about now this united Africa being an easier way for others.
Without more. But I'm in the business of reminding all of us that a prayer breakfast can become an annual ritual without more. Don't make it an annual ritual where we come to say with our mouths what we do not believe in our hearts. There must be a wedding between us. And I also want to praise. We must, in the nature of things, be Christians of Berea. If you read the Acts of the Apostles,
love about PLO Lumumba is still he knows about the Europeans, he knows a lot about the Europeans, but he still believes in the Bible, he still believes in Christianity, he's still a religion based. I don't know why, but I feel like he's more civilized, and he should not be talking about such things. Now he's teaching us about the Acts of Apostles, and this is a whole lie, but he's way educated to be noticing this. But anyway, that is
I also want you to go and read.
That is not what I wanted you to hear. Let me forward it real quick.
Confusing people, just as Jannes and Jambres confused the multitude. But we are one to do the right thing. And I knew that the same Bible tells us that you can cannot be pretend to be lovers.
Of course, this is weird, and he makes sense with that sentence. You know why? We as African people, we believed, we used to, like for me, I used to believe in Jesus, and we have so many people right now who still believe in Jesus. But this Jesus, have they ever seen Jesus? How are they able to love somebody who they have never seen, but they are not able to love their own people on the same land, like the people they are living with? How are they able not to love them, but they can love somebody they don't see, they don't know if they even exist?
You know, when we talk about pirate, we are talking about serious business. When my good friend Godfrey was asking people to pray, I'm making some of you uncomfortable, and that is my intention. When he was asking people to pray, he asked several people to pray, and everybody came. And I was asking myself, why must 5 people pray? Why can't it be 1? Why? They all said the same thing. Why can't 1 person pray? 3 members of parliament had to pray. Why? Is God deaf? Must we repeat things to God? Are we like the latter-day Pharisees who pray that men may listen to us? Let us not use prayer breakfast to God. Let us use prayer breakfast to say that which is right and to speak the truth to all of us. I'm saying all this because we must say it, because we must not shy away from the truth. You know, before I turn to my subject for 5 minutes, when Christ himself is asked, teach us how to pray, he prays in less than a minute. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily.
This man is preaching, but there is a message I really wanted us to get. But we've gotten that one where he's talking about now. You are able to love a person you believe that is there, up there, but you're not able to love a person who you are seeing. You know, this is just crazy, but as we continue with this video, I don't know it is at which point he's talking about how civilization of other countries now, or rather other nations, is getting to affect us, or rather how disunited Africa is good for civilization of other nations.
God is not a Christian. No.
Oh my God, this man will never stop preaching. You know, one thing about these Africans, you find that there is always a problem with Africans. Okay, I want to believe in something, but still I want to believe in other things, and we are always confused. Just like Dr. Mombi, I said, Dr. Mombi is still talking about fighting disunity. She talks about that all the time. But what does she say all the time? Amagekoyo and Mombi, where did that come from? You know, you want to be united, but you still want to be tribal. It can never go the 2 way. It has to be 1 way. You have to be united. Leave tribalism alone. You can't be Kikuyu and at the same time you want to associate with the Luos, to the people who are saying, I am a Luo. You know, you can't do this. Like, you can't do the 2. You have to decide where you are lying on. But anyway, there's this other video. Let me find this one. This is about the Zambian president, and this is very weird. But I told you yesterday, and Keith said there was this video I was sharing about this man saying that we need to protect President Ruto. He's bringing a revolution to Africa, and I thought, like, this man is very stupid. Why do we need to protect Ruto? He's just bringing propaganda. Right now, we have the Zambian president also bringing propaganda and trying to tell us, you know, we need to do this. And he's telling the Chinese, if you're going to give us money, you have to take it at an interest rate of 1%, of which the lenders will never accept this. But anyway, let me show you what I'm talking about. This Africa, These African puppets, they are very good at propaganda, very good at puppet talks, because we know these are puppet talks, because we know what they do. They are very good with the puppet talks, very good, and try to please now people, the audience there. Their main aim is to please the audience there, not to please everyone who is patriotic, or rather who is a pan-Africanist. But anyway, let me share this video. This is Hekainde Chilema. Word.
Truthful and unapologetic.
One of the deliverables for this summit that obviously also President of China, that we should ensure that by the time this summit takes place, we'll have delivered the Zambia debt restructuring. Thank you to China. Thank you to France for chairing the G20 framework. Thank you to South Africa.
Yes, I accept General Mosquito. I agree. He's a preachaholic. Preachaholic.
Being the deputy chair for this process. And also to all of the countries, one or another, started this process to reach the conclusion in other countries, because Zambia was more or less used like a guinea pig. And we are now in this situation, and we hope that the lessons of that process can be learned and learned correctly and be applied to the other processes that will commence starting, I believe, following this summit. But I must also say thank you to the people of Zambia for their patience. We took this project as one of us before we formed and deliverable for us. And the people of Zambia were very patient, extremely patient, pain on the other side because of the structural adjustment, the structural processes. And if there's one lesson that I want to share with other countries, that leadership is crucial at a country level. To be clear of what you want and say so to your people. The people may not support everything that's necessary. Institutional reform, consumption controls, habit of corruption. I enjoyed by many.
Corruption. Let's talk about your own country. Zambia is full of the Chinese people that you're telling them China can only take 1% interest rates in loans. Who do you think that will allow themselves to take 1%? Why am I even lending you money if I'm gaining 1%? You know, it doesn't make sense for this Zambian president, because whatever he's saying is nonsense. Even if I'm lending you money right now, I won't take 1% interest rate. I won't be lending my money to you at an interest rate of 1%. At least talk about 3%. We would know that you're not trying to create a puppet tot. But now 1%. Come on, do better. Didn't you go to a maths class? Didn't you go to a business class? 1%. Who can lend you money and take an interest rate, or with an interest rate of 1%? He's just doing his puppet talk, and this is very evident that these people are always doing puppet talk just to please the audience there. Because if these people were even keen enough, they would notice that this man is not making any sense. He is not making any sense. He behaves like a person who had never been into a maths or rather a business class. Yet he's a president and the people should be respecting him. But he's talking about 1% interest rate. Why are you borrowing money if you're going to give them a rate of 1%? It doesn't make sense. You start lending your own money with an interest rate of 1%. What will you be gaining? It is nothing, because any number multiplied by 1, it remains that number. Any number you multiply by 1, it remains the same number. So you're just stupid and trying to please the audience while they are even laughing at you. They clearly know you don't make sense. They are just not able to tell you. They are not in a capability to tell you. But wait, maybe those people are stupid like you who are listening to you there. Maybe this summit, nobody is clever to notice that you're just giving a puppet talk. But one day they will come to you and tell you this is impossible. You even don't know mathematics. You even don't know business studies. Just like they told Ramaphosa, I heard you came for food in Russia and Ukraine. It is crazy. But I see Kid, you're saying exactly 100% Katie. Also, I see you're saying maybe he's getting shoes and shirts from the Chinese. Probably he's getting a new shirts and shoes. That is why he's talking about 1% interest loan rates. But it is just crazy. Even a little child wouldn't be thinking like he's doing.
Confront them as well. But it's important to be intentional as leaders and then deliver that to our communities. But they will support you, as Zambians have done that. Thank you very much, people of Zambia. Let's put this. Poverty, climate change. We have already argued that these are intertwined. There's no question about it. May draw aspect of the connection. Even before we talk about financing, new financing, more financing, when countries are not growing economically.
Imagine this is the reason. This is the reason the Europeans think that now all African people are stupid. Just because of one stupid person, just because of 2 stupid people, they think that all Africans are stupid, like this person right here, like Hikainde Hichilema. Ay, man, say, this is too much. Even if you never went to a class, you'd know what you are saying by 1% interest rate in loans. It doesn't make sense. He's not even reasoning right now.
Expect a poor person to carry an additional burden. That is necessary to drive growth, to drive development. So poverty actually exacerbates the climate change mitigation, I argue. And it's very clear. If you are asking your poor people to switch energy from charcoal to clean, they're already stressed. So we need to find mechanisms to support the poor in our countries, less privileged, but poverty, the poor, but the less privileged, to be able to come through to support the changes that are required to mitigate climate change negative effects. I think that's very, the flip side has imposed new obligations on the less privileged. For us as a global community to mobilize resources, yes, but these resources must be invested to help grow the economies of the less developed countries. Very important, because by doing that, we are creating capacity in those economies to mitigate against climate change, and obviously poverty reduction. So value addition, not just with the electric vehicle industry that is coming through, huge industry, local deliberately investing in extraction, critical minerals, for example, in value adding these minerals in country.
Look at the Europeans, they are shaking their heads. You think this man is making any sense? And they are laughing in their minds. They are saying, look at this fool. What is he even talking about?
So that will help the growth side of the GDP, create jobs, business opportunities for the transactional chain in there, if I may call it that. So I think this must be deliberate as well. Rather than generic discussions, we must dive deep into the envelope and begin to say, these are requirements, these are needs, these are minimums. And it will mutually benefit, as somebody said yesterday, not to polarize the conversation, the North and the South. It will definitely, if it's structured properly, benefit the North, the South. And that's not the debate we must be engaging in, but mutuality for greater good, for a safe world, for a world that we can pass on to the next generation.
It is
Yeah, we have
very
it.
shameful to be calling such person a president of an African country. Very shameful to be calling this man African, because he's very stupid. If you heard what he said, just let me know if he makes sense. Imagine anyway. I don't want even to talk about that, man. It is so shameful, so shameful. But I see Kid, you're saying this Katie, that is why they are selected, not elected, because they're stupid. It helps the Europeans. Very true. And this is why the Europeans will never stop taking advantage of us, because at the end of the day, they know they have put people who will help them with their missions in Africa. People who will give them Africa for free. This is the Zambian president. Remember, in the same country, Zambia, this is why we saw a racist Chinese. We even have a racist Chinese restaurant that no black person is supposed to go. You are not supposed to enter that restaurant because it is a Chinese restaurant. In Zambia, remember, the same Zambia is where we have so many Chinese that they are even looking forward to control the whole country. But we have a kind of Ichilema telling the Chinese, we are taking your loans at 1% interest rate. Man, sometimes I feel very ashamed to be associated with so many people because they are stupid. This person is a person we would be calling our African brother, but he's stupid. You'd even feel very ashamed of walking next to him. Because what is that he's saying? Honestly, even if I'm lending you my money, do you think that I will take 1% interest rate? What am I making there? Nothing. And he's behaving like he don't know why the Chinese are in his country. Anyway, these are puppets. He's a puppet doing what puppets do and actually doing the best he can do as a puppet. But I see Kid is saying this is nothing but show Katie. They will allow these morons to talk about, at the end of the day, they will be told what to do. Very true. Very true. Very true. It is just a show. And this is why you'd see even the Kenyan president talking anyhowly to the French minister. They would talk anyhowly to the journalists because it is just a show. But at the end of the day, they don't reciprocate what they talk on these shows. So you'd know it is definitely a show. But sometimes I feel very embarrassed to be associated with some of these people because they are even talking about crazy things, impossible things. Man, it is a very shameful, very, very, very shameful to see a person like that. He behaves like a person who have never stepped in a class. Imagine. But anyway, before we get to the end of our show for today, let me go straight to the matters of the day, rather to the main focus of the day. And this was about the South African court ruling against the ending permit for Zimbabweans. And we had talked about this, if you remember. It was like a year ago we talked about this, where South Africans came saying that we don't want any other African people, rather we don't want any people coming to our countries. We are getting xenophobia, or rather we are xenophobic. They are coming here, they are coming to take over our jobs, and we don't want them in South Africa. We talked about this, and I was like, how can you be xenophobic but you're not racist? Because we have so many Wazungus in your country, but now when it comes to black people coming to your country, you become xenophobic, while the Wazungus are very there and they are super racist, but you're not racist to them. Anyway, a South African court on Wednesday ruled against the government and ordered it to reconsider its decision to terminate the special permits allowing nearly 200,000 Zimbabwean nationals to live and work in the country. The government's decision was set to force Zimbabweans to return home if they didn't obtain regular work visas, and if they have children who are born in South Africa and South African citizens. It is in its ruling, the Gauteng High Court in Pretoria said the Department of Home Affairs decision in 2022 to end the special exemption for citizens from neighboring Zimbabwe was unlawful and unconstitutional because it did not follow a fair process of consultation. The permits were extended until at least June 28th next year under the court ruling. The department initially set a deadline of June 30th this year, Friday, for the termination of the Zimbabwean exemption permit system. The deadline was recently extended to the end of the year. Around 178,000 Zimbabwean nationals live in the South Africa under the scheme. It was introduced in 2010 in an attempt to deal with a surge in migration by Zimbabweans escaping the economic woes of their home country, which has persisted. It is crazy. The Helen Suzman, a foundation, NGO, and a group advocating for the rights of migrants in South Africa, took the government's Department of Home Affairs to court over its decision. Because why are you telling people to leave Africa? This is very even scary for Africans, because if I'm going to South Africa and I'm told that those people over there are xenophobic, they don't want to see me, it is very scary that I can't go to work there. It is very scary to be now in even another African country because you don't know what these people are doing. You remember, these people were even beating up Zimbabweans for being in South Africa. They were beating them up, destroying their businesses just because they are black people in a black country or in an African country. Yet, we have the Wazungus in the same country, but all they see are the black people coming from other African countries, not the Wazungus coming from the European nations. Man, it is crazy. And these are the biggest reasons we need to be united as Africans, because we can't be calling ourselves xenophobic. We are one people. How don't we see this? How don't we see that now this is a way of us being divided, and it is somebody who wants us divided? Why don't we see this? And the more we're disunited, the more we are giving the European power to control us, the more we're giving them power to overtake Africa. It is just crazy. It is crazy. We have Europeans. Actually, they control that country. But these people, the saddest part is that they can never be racist, but they are xenophobic. It is sad that now I can't go and start up a business in South Africa because they hate me. They are xenophobic, but they love the Mzungus very much. Man, Africans, we need to wake up. We need to realize what damage we are causing to ourselves, because the more disunited are, the more it is easy to come and overtake us. The more it is easy for other civilizations. A disunited Africa is good for other civilizations, but Africans, we don't see this. We don't see this. We don't realize what we're doing to ourselves. We're just busy loving the Mzungus and hating our own people. But this has to come to an end. It has to come to an end, because at the end of the day, we need a united Africa. We need one nation. Yeah, people don't see this as divide and conquer. They just see this as how Africans are coming to take over their works. Man, it is sad to talk about some things, to see how we are trying to unite Africans, but they are busy working very hard to disunite us. But as Africans, from wherever you are, remember, I told you, we are going through this because of the Europeans. Wherever you are today, even if you are doing whatever you are doing and it is right, and you have a Mzungu coming on your way and whatever they are doing is right, make sure you keep them, and rather you make them feel uncomfortable. They cannot be making us feel uncomfortable in our own countries. They also need to feel uncomfortable. Make sure whenever you encounter a Mzungu, make sure you make them feel uncomfortable until they leave our countries. Because the more we keep on making them uncomfortable, I'm sure they will leave our countries. Because we can't keep on seeing this. This is bad. It is insane. Yes, they need to go. They need to go. Make sure you make them feel uncomfortable whenever you come across any of them. But anyway, family, we are coming to the end of our show for today. But before I leave, I see Robert Williams is saying, whitey riding Africans back. That's the practice of the day. Manze, it is sad. But I see Kid, you're saying, yes, Sepo said that they have too many other Africans. Very true. But why are you hating your own Africans? Why are you not welcoming Africans? And they will even help you on chasing the Europeans in your countries. But I see Kivio saying exactly 100%, Katie. General Scripture is saying, correct, Katie. They should only beat up the Nigerians. Why do you want the Nigerians to be beaten up, General Mosquito? What have they done for you? But anyway, you're also saying divide and conquer. Kivio saying exactly 100%. So true. Yes, make sure that you make the Wazungus uncomfortable in Africa, because they should not be comfortable. We are uncomfortable in our own land, in our own homes. Because of them, I'm also going to make you feel uncomfortable. You cannot make me feel uncomfortable at my own place where I belong. Hey, one of us has to go, and it is you, because I'm at my home. It is you. But anyway, family, much love. Asanteni sana for joining me. Make sure before you leave, you smash the like button. And to everybody who interacted, Robert Williams, General Squito, Keith, and to the rest of the silent listeners, to all those who are with me on the radio as well, those who are with me on Rambo, Asante Sana. Hope you get to enjoy the rest parts of your day. Remember, we're going outside in the streets of Rongai with the Shmani, so make sure you join us on the word of the streets. Kwaherini, have an enjoyable rest part of your day.
Greetings and salutations back to you, man. From all the way in Switzerland. And you're tuning into the Black House Fire Radio. And you're listening to the African Diary Show with Cathy. That's it.
All of them know that I'm the baddest gun. Every club and mass, so we give them up. Tell me big boy, pull out with the illness come, so we give them good vibes, sing feel the drum. Oh, they wanna sing my song. Some of them fools that we show them do. Team Zima, he's a Lima. Who am I? Tell me girl, them sugar cane, man, the fresh money, no time for that the money say. Say the girls, them a love me, boys, them a know me.